that stuff is amazing, and it's what we're going to be using for the a lot of the boss clearing. In fact, we're going to use it for all of the boss clearing effectively. So it's just little notes to help you figure out what's going on and what each sort of like pack pull and stuff does. Okay, so first of all, I just want to thank everyone who made it here. I do appreciate it. Remember that Monday is our other raid slot. So moving forward, we're going to be raiding on Wednesdays, but we will also be raiding on Mondays. We need both of those days available for you guys to show up. We need everyone there on both days, not just Wednesdays. Please set that time aside. Mondays will be BWL and then more Molten Core, or BWL and more AQ, depending on how fast we're progressing through this right now. Tor, I don't know if you realize this, but you have like 100 people on that Google sheet right now.
Yeah, it's I posted it on Reddit at one point. And,
It's blown the fuck up.
It was Tor that made it? That's amazing.
Yeah, well, it took a day. It was a fun time, but yeah, my eyes were destroyed, but happy to do it, yo. You guys
So,
have done a lot, so I gotta help AQ somehow.
yeah, this was absolutely amazing, dude.
Thank you.
So let me just say that AQ is going to change the game. Just like in Molten Core, where every boss in Molten Core was essentially just a tank and spank, and then BWL, they started to introduce mechanics, although we kind of have reduced them all to tank and spanks at this point. If you're a DPS, you kind of just stand behind them and smack them. In AQ, a lot of the fights will still be that, but ever increasingly in these raids, what we're going to find is that it's not just you sort of mindlessly following and attacking. More of the responsibility lies on each individual raider. So everyone needs to step up their game, and you need to pay attention and do what we are shouting out, and also paying attention to what's happening and making decisions based on that. We all are in this together. If you fail, we all fail. If you succeed, we all succeed. So there's going to be more mechanics, and there's going to be more expectations from our raider. And performance is not just damage. Performance is, do you wipe the raid? Are you doing what you need to do in the raid? Can we get a summon on Tiv if possible?
If you're in Silithus, then you don't have to do that.
Okay, so we're going to start at the top here because, first of all, trash matters a lot in these. We're going to die on trash, not just bosses. We're not just going to run up, taunt them, kill them, and be over with. Things are going to happen, and mechanics are in place that will... I'm going to give Thor and Tiv, if you guys want to just grab the stragglers as they come in.
Sure. Got it.
You're not sharing your screen yet, Glam, are you?
Not yet, no. So the ads are going to matter a lot more, and we need to understand the ads in order to do them properly. So if you have the AQ complete strat open, right out of the gate, we have a few packs that we need to kill right before the first boss. So I'm going to actually screen share the video of some private server, but it still shows you what's going on.
Spoiler alert.
Oh no, my immersion.
Okay, so this is what AQ looks like when you go in there.
Where is it? Sorry. Oh, I'm looking at your stream. Got it.
Yeah, I'm just live streaming. Okay, so this is what AQ looks like when you first get in here. There's two packs that we need to start with. The first one is going to be, there is some notes on the first one. It drains the raid's mana, and it's a big AoE when it reaches full mana. I'm not worried about this. I think we're gonna kill this first pack this first guy
Make sure we
super
get
quickly.
disarms on the Sentinels, and somatics get
Yeah,
cranked.
the mana drain won't be a thing, to be honest.
Yeah, he should be pretty tank and spanky. This next pack though.
We gotta
Hey,
get
I'm
used
a
to
Curse
these.
of Shadow, guys.
Are
Get
the
used
fourth
to these
Sentinels.
packs.
Yeah, so these are the first packs that we're really going to see that are an issue. So how we want to do it is we want to have 4 tanks and 4 tank healers, and we want to go up and tank them in separate spaces and areas, and we want to put detect magics up on them. As you see in the notes in Excel, they have a bunch of different abilities. They have hot, mana burns, mortal strikes, knockback, shadow bolt volleys, reflects, on certain types, thunderclaps, and thorns. And basically you want to prioritize the ones because when they die, they heal the other ones back up to full. And then they give the ability that they had to the other ones. So each boss becomes increasingly more difficult to kill. And this is kind of like those chromatic dragonkin, where like when we say don't DPS so that we can figure out what each of them are doing, this is going to matter. Because we need to see which one that we're going to kill. You can't just start going in on one. You might just die if it has the wrong type of ability. You need to sit there, wait for the tanks to get aggro, wait for us to figure out what they have, and then we'll start prioritizing a list of which ones to kill. The list that Thror uses is basically more or less what we're going to be doing. Shadow Bolt Volley and Reflects are some of the last ones that we want to do. Especially if they start reflecting all of the abilities, it's just all of our DPS becomes severely impeded. So let's watch what they do. Basically, they pull them, as you can see, into separately, and you can they should be putting detect magic up on them to see what their abilities are. As you can see, one's already shooting. So one has the thorns, one has a shadow bolt volley, and so they're going to be picking them up, tanking them as best they can. They're all marked, and they're going to call out which one to start on, and then we're going to move on to the next ones. That guy just got healed back up to full, as you can see, because they killed one of the other ones. It heals everybody back up to full, and it gives them their buff. Boom, another heal, another back to full, and they're picking on the next call out. Another thing I want to point out is if you look at the approximate DPS they're pulling, they're doing about what we do, more or less. On average, when I was looking at the DPS on these fights, their damage was about 30 to 40% higher than what we pump out. So when we're watching some of these fights, bear in mind that the fight for us is going to be substantially longer, especially since, as you can see, they're fully world buffed. It's going to be about twice as long. Okay, I'm going to switch to the screen. I'm going to need some markups here. Okay, I need 4 people to be sentinels. Come to me. I'm to Skull over here. I need 4 sentinels: Ferris, Durza, Ajar, and Shannon. Okay, everyone, those 4 come to me. Everyone else go back into the group. So our marking nomenclature is Skull, X, Square, and then Moon. Okay, so can you guys just back up and spread out a little bit the marks? I'm gonna put a circle on me. I'm gonna put Coyote. Where's Coyote? Coyote star. Actually, I'll put Diamond on me. And then Tiv is circle. And then do we have any other tanks in the group right now? No? Okay. Alien. Awesome. So Alien will be our shoe-in for Balu right now. Your triangle. Okay. So we'll group up. Target's going to be Glam Skull, Coyote X, Tiv on Square, and Alien on Moon. So everyone's staying in a little tight group here. What we would do is when we're doing this boss, we're going to move on in, pick up our ads. Yeah, tanks move in. And then we're going to try and keep them spread out if possible. But at this point, what the priest should be doing as we're targeting, no DPS yet, is when we're tanking them, put detect magic on them and any other form of identifiers that we can put. And when we do that, we're going to figure out what abilities they have. So we play it nice and easy, big heals on the tank while we do this, and then we're going to call out, start on square. Everyone goes to square first, starts killing square. Then we're DPSing it down. All the other ones are going to get healed. There's no point to DPS any of the other ones because they're going to get healed back to full anyways. So when square goes down and dies, it's going to heal and share its ability. And then we say, all right, everyone go on X. And so everyone then after square goes down, they're on X, DPSing it down. They're going to get increasingly hard to tank and to be near if they have abilities that do AoE like Thunderclap. Then we say go to Skull. Everyone comes to Skull, we kill them down. Same situation where the DPS, where they're going to just hit harder, they're going to have more abilities, and then we wrap up by going to Moon, and we can drag them closer together as we get fewer and fewer mobs. So those are the first 4 pulls of the instance, essentially.
Hey, Glam, would it be better to not use our normal kill rotation symbols for this pack because we don't know which one we're going to be killing? Instead of people focusing like on Skull and then X, it'd be like just use like random ones.
You should be able to detect magic before the pull.
We could do that, but again, I want people to look at the mob and understand the mechanic. This is an instance where, like, first of all, when I say no DPS, I really do mean no DPS while we figure it out. Help us establish a threat. But then the other problem too is like, if I just shout out square because we're all on square, everyone should hear that and go to square, even if there's a Skull and an X nearby. For the Sentinels, people really need to pay attention to what they're doing, or they're going to wipe us, or they're going to kill themselves, and which means we have less DPS. So in a nutshell, I'm not changing it. People, please pay attention. Okay, so that's the first 2 pulls, and then it just repeats itself.
Wow, this is 3 hours?
Same exact situation, another Eradicator. These guys are pretty simple. We just go in, tank, spank, move on to the next one. Again, these guys are going to be marked, and as you can see, we pick them up, we spread them out, we figure out with putting detect magics up on them to see which ones are the best to start with. We're going to call out the symbol, and you need to DPS that symbol. If there are abilities like Shadow Volley and stuff, please pay attention to your health, stuff like that. But these should be simple if we're paying attention.
Which are the easiest and which are the hardest?
Of abilities?
We'll learn that. I mean, Thorns is pretty easy.
You kill Thorns first, always.
The reflects are easy because you just don't use that. You don't want to kill Shadow Bullet Volley right away. You want to use that last. Yeah, Mana Burn's kind of annoying, but not the worst thing in the world. But you don't want to kill that early.
So definitely Shadow Bolt Volley and Mortal Strike are bad.
Yep.
The knockback's really bad too. I think it wipes threat, and they're not tauntable.
Yeah, so the easy ones might be like 6 through 9.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
Also,
the latter half of them.
And they do go down pretty fast. So, when it comes to you take the second half of that list, and it's like if there's 1 or 2 of those, just knock them out, and then the other 2, it doesn't really matter as much. You don't have to be super okay, do this one instead of this one between 3rd and 4th. It's just all right, just focus on one, and that's the more important thing. As long as everybody's focused on one, they'll go down fast enough.
I also believe the Thunderclap does 800 damage to everybody in melee range, so it's not great.
Pretty hard to listen to Clan.
Yeah. So if there is a knockback, we bring that one to a wall, obviously. there will be some adjustments for that, but the general idea is that some are easier, like the Heal Over Time and the Thorns. Those are the ones we're going to be trying to prioritize. If there is just one Reflect, we may try and prioritize that one as well. And the last ones we're going to do are things like the Mana Burn. The Shadow Bolt Volley will always be last, for example. Okay, so here's this is the first boss. Probably the one I'm least worried about. I'm not saying that we won't wipe, but I think the mechanics are pretty straightforward, and I'm not too surprised by it. We're going to practice this in just a second, but here is the boss. We're not going to be able to mount up, so that's going to be one of the barriers at the beginning. But casters, healers, and caster DPS should go all the way through this boss. And let me see if I can get a good angle on this, essentially. But the boss starts at the top, and he has several platforms off to the side. And essentially what we need to do is we need to split up our tanks so that we can tank the boss on one of these platforms, like you see right here. Okay, so at the bottom there's a bottom platform, and then you come up these stairs, and then there is a side platform, and then if you go back, he hasn't got a good angle, but if you go back up and around, there is sort of a platform up top. The platform up top is for all of the casters. You're going to stand there, and you're going to be able to hit basically the Prophet wherever he stands. Outside of that, all of we're going to split the melee up into 3 groups, and we're going to put 1 group on each platform, essentially. So what he does is he splits up into these mirror images, which is why we need to put people on the platforms, because when he splits up into these mirror images, they have less health, but they need to be tanked and they need to be killed. Some of these guys will appear on the same platform, which is not a problem, but what that does mean is that it does mean that all of our warriors need to be able to tank and be ready to tank this boss. If he shows up on a platform, we can only put so many tanks in so many places. And because of that, we need other warriors to just taunt those ads, put on a shield, and just do what they can to keep that boss hitting a plate wearer rather than one of our, leather or running up to attack the healers. That's why I've been rotating in a lot of our warriors as off tanks on like bigger pulls. It's because I want all of us to get comfortable practicing the tank. If you think that you need some more practice tanking, or if you want to practice more, let me know. I'll work you into the alt tanking rotation, and that'll give Alien a chance to do some more DPS, which he would love to do. So the other ability he has is that he mind controls people. This is very simple. We just polymorph them for that time. They grow very large, and they do extra damage, just like the mind controls from Jindo. So when they get mind controlled, don't hit them, don't dot them, don't cleave them down, nothing. Just let the mages poly them, and if they do get dots, we need to fear them. Casters up top, that's going to be your responsibility when those happen. As you can see, though, pretty straightforward fight. If you look at the DPS, obviously we're going to be a couple hundred DPS underneath them, but a fast fight with not crazy mind-blowing DPS either. Okay.
That looks like a hunter item right there, sorry.
Yeah, some good old nature resist right there. Okay, so everyone stack up on diamond. Okay, so don't move anywhere. Just stay right here, guys. This is us facing the boss, okay? So up in front of us, there's going to be this one platform, just like you saw. And then you're going to go up the stairs to a platform right here. This is obviously a much smaller version of it. Or up the stairs to this platform right here. So the boss is standing right here. What the casters need to do is they need to run up the stairs to the boss, run through him and around. You're going to go in a big sort of question mark shape, and you're going to end up at the top on the top platform, basically looking down on the boss. So all the casters would be up here, and this is where you're going to heal and you're going to DPS from. Hold on, stay back in the group, guys. Stay back in the group. Can someone stand and be the boss for me right here where Diamond is? Just one person. Not a tank, sorry. Not a tank. Yabo. Boom, your skull. Okay. Can I get 2 more people who are not tanks, please? All right, Shannon's right here. Perfect. And then Ferris, thank you. You can be the 3rd one. Okay. So these guys are the visual representation of boss in the middle, platform to the right and platform to the left where they can spawn. The casters need to run up to the skull and either go left. Let's all the casters go left to square and then up and around, just like you normally would. Perfect. So that's what you would do. What the melee are going to do are the melee are going to run up, dismount by the boss, and wait for us to pick up the boss and start tanking him. What the tanks are going to do is they're going to run up, and let's say Coyote was going to run up and then go to X. Tiv is going to run up and go to square. We're going to have 2 other tanks that would be helping. In this case, it would probably be Alien on one side and Balu on the other side, and then all of the melee would stay in the middle. But that would give us essentially 5 tanks to tank everything, and then I would be in the middle, and there would just be a designated, and then one of the warriors would just taunt with me. So, all right, everyone but the DPS, everyone but the boss spots, come back to Diamond. Yeah.
Either side, but I'm sure we'll have like healing assignments and stuff from Cath and all that stuff.
Yeah, at the very least, what we can do is start leaking healers on both sides and leaking casters on both sides, so you're not right at the top. But Ferris, do you have any insight on if you could reach everything in the middle or not?
I don't remember that. I would, that'll be a quick thing we'll figure out though.
Yeah. Okay. So Coyote will go on X, and let's just put at the time. Not yet. Sorry, not yet. I'm just doing callouts. Everyone dismount for this, since we're going to be dismounted for the first one. So Coyote and Repulse just go to X and pretend to be X, and not yet, guys. Not yet. And then Tiv will go to square, and we'll have Alien go with him to square. Casters, you'll go to your spot, and I'll go to skull with all of the melee. So you want to stand behind the tanks, so everyone behind Star. Or sorry, not Star, behind Diamond, Everyone behind Diamond, guys.
Not walking.
Oh, we got an extra person here. Okay, so when I say go in, and then... All right, first kill this guy. All right, back in position, guys.
If only the boss will go down that easy.
I know, right? All right, everyone behind Diamond.
You should just log into retail and go do a raid.
Okay.
Seriously.
So you want to stay behind Diamond. You want to move right into position. I'll count us down in 3, 2, 1. Run on up to the boss. This is where I'd start tanking the boss. Everyone just gets into position. Everyone get into position. Perfect. And now the boss is going to split up. So both sides, you would be looking for your mirror images. You would want to be calling out if you have a mirror image on your side. People are going to get mind controlled. So mages, you need to be looking for those mind controls. And again, as you saw, they get larger. And then you start sheeping them. If they get dotted, we need to fear them. Then when we DPS down the mirror images, then we go on the boss again and start DPSing down the boss, rinse and repeat. Pretty simple. Any questions on this one?
Yeah, I have a question. Never mind.
That's a good question.
Is it a posy question, Tiv?
No, it's not, because Yabo has the gun that I want, and he's making fun of me.
Nice orange weapon.
To be fair, we all would.
Maybe you should have picked bros over hoes that night.
I hope that makes sense.
Didn't end up working out for me anyway, so I do regret it.
The other thing is that he does cast Arcane Explosion. So we will need AoE heals, but that's just I mean, it is a mechanic, but at the same time, it's not really a relevant mechanic, right? Like it's just AoE damage in the raid. All right.
Did you say that multiple can spawn on one platform, Glenn?
Yep, multiple can spawn on one platform. That's why Coyote would be picking up the first one on that side, or Tiv would be the first one picking up one on that side, and then Alien or Balu would be picking up the next one on that side.
Hey, everybody, come check out what I'm about to post in the general chat.
It's also very rare, but I believe it is possible that all three go to the same platform.
Yeah, if that happens, we're just gonna rotate one from the middle to help.
Yeah. But just, again, for warriors, just be prepared to throw on a shield and taunt something.
What about consumables for this fight? Are we gonna need to pre-pop resist pots?
No, this one's probably one of the most straightforward bosses in my opinion. Ferris, if you think that one would be helpful, feel free to chime in here.
No,
So
not for this.
We're not gonna use Arcane or Nature Res?
No, it's not worthwhile. It's if we're positioned correctly and everybody does just what they're supposed to do, it's not a huge help. I mean, it's a little help, but it's not worth doing.
Arcane resistance is dirt cheap if you want to buy it.
I know, but it's still there'll be nothing left to heal.
Okay, so I'm going back onto the YouTube stream here. These ones are going to be pretty.
One more addition to that, Glam. The only thing I wanted to add was just when you figure out who the mirror image is make sure DPS is absolutely finishing both mirrors before getting back on the correct boss. The one problem we'd always get, especially with the DPS that we can put out, is some people, especially melee, because you can't switch between the bosses immediately, you have to run to it, would just stay at, if they got on the right, on the boss itself, they'd stay there. And if you have enough DPS, you can run into a situation where you're getting that boss down to 50% or 25%. It goes in quarters, and it's spawning additional ones while the spawns are still out, the mirrors are still out. So that's like the only thing that's going to wipe us if we just tunnel vision the boss instead of doing it properly. So it's extremely important, if the mirrors go out, you need to get the fuck off the right one. Even if you're melee and you're on the right one, go to the mirrors, DPS it down, get back to the main one. That's extremely important.
And did we talk about the Arcane Explosion and like Curse of Tongues and all that stuff? Because for that, these mobs, including the duplicates, they'll use Arcane Explosion. It's a 1 second cast time. I put it in the spreadsheet, but we could use mind-numbing poisons or Curse of Tongues to slow it. And so we want to like dispel that all the time, because that could do. It's really one of the only like main damage, like heavy hitting AoE things in this fight. So if we could just interrupt that the whole time, then it's a done deal. So maybe like Noodled or like with the rogues can set up a rotation or something, and just to interrupt that or whatever. Or the warriors could set up a rotation too. We could figure that out.
I'm not sure.
We can. Yeah, I mean, the arcane explosions are just going to be the raid damage, and I know that they also Earthshock, but that's just going to be incoming AoE damage that the healers are picking up.
Yeah, yeah.
As a way to save damage, you can apply mind-numbing poison and Curse of Tongues on the boss.
Right.
Yeah.
Like,
okay.
Right.
Yeah, those things are going to happen. The big mechanics are the ones I am trying to paint with slightly broad strokes here, but the big mechanics we're looking out for is rotating from the mirror images to mirror images, getting into the right spot where your group is supposed to be, and being aware and picking up ads and CCing. These are all great points. You know, and we can go into these details. I don't want to make this meeting too long, but
Okay.
but yeah, no, all great points. I'm gonna just skim over this next part. We're gonna get into a lot of bug packs. These guys are gonna drop mounts. I am coming up with an order in which mounts are going to be given out, especially at the beginning. You know, things like tanks and main healers and hunter pullers are going to be important to get mounts so that we can get people moving faster. But on these packs, it's pretty simple. The red bugs, they knock you back. The mind controller mind controls you. We start with the mind controller. We kill him first. If someone gets mind controlled, just like on this boss, we CC him. Then we kill the other guys. These tunnels are very long. As you can see, they're mounted. It makes it a lot faster for them to clear content. We're not going to have this, so we're going to need to move. We're moving slower inherently, which means that we need to try and move faster. Like, we need to have less downtime if needed. We need to work as a group to make sure we're getting to where we need to go, and we're not wiping. So for warlocks especially, it's very important that you're using soul stones and maybe even staggering those soul stones so that we have wipe protection consistently. Another pack, there's 4 ads. They'd be marked up first, but we're going to start with the mind controller. CC anybody who gets mind controlled. The red guys are tanked against the wall for the knockback, and that's about all she wrote for that. These guys are pretty simple. They just spawn ads. Whoops. These guys just spawn ads, so you can tank them up in a group. That's fine. The Guardians have knockbacks, as you can see, so they're tanked off to the side. But we'll just pick them up. Looks like they started with the Guardians. We'll probably start with the Guardians as well, since they don't have mobs that spawn afterwards. As you can see, they're putting slowing traps down. Anything that we can do to try and keep them as grouped up as possible so that we can AoE them down afterwards. As you can see, a bunch of bugs spawn afterwards. They're sappering them. But essentially, we're going to group up the mages just like we do in Suppression Room, kite them, AoE them, etc., etc. Right. This is the 3 bug boss. I'm actually going to skip this one because it is a optional boss, and we're going to be going for Cthulhu kills as fast as possible. So we're going to do the bosses we need to get to Cthulhu so that we can kill them. But just to give you a general idea of these 3 bug bosses, they all have different abilities. They're all different levels of difficulty to kill, and when they die, they sort of they impart buffs on the other 3 bosses. Killing them in different orders means that you loot, you get different loot, because it's only the last bug boss that you get gear from. So as you can see, they have different methods of tanking them in corners and stuff for certain bosses, or for certain ones. Like this one gets tanked in a corner. I think another one gets tanked against a wall. It's pretty straightforward. We're going to go into this more detail, but I don't want to like oversaturate people with info. So the basic idea is that this is 3 bug boss. You kill them all separately, and killing different ones in first or last give you different loot. So we will try and prioritize the best loot to those bosses when we do get to them. Clearing more packs. Again, you can see those are swarmers, or those are warriors. So they just need to be tanked against the wall, and they knock back. More packs. Again, more mounts are going to drop. We'll start handing them out as we go. We're going to start with that list first, and then we'll start rolling them off to the rest of the raid. Okay, this is the first big challenge we're going to get to the raid. This is Battleguard Sartura. Now, she doesn't have a ton of health, but she is very dangerous, and her ads are very dangerous too, because they're not really easy to tank. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to try and blow up both of her ads first, and then DPS her down. Now, the reason why we killed the ads first is because A, they have less health, and B, they are stunnable. I think Sartura might be stunnable as well.
Yeah, when they're not whirlwinding, they're all stunnable.
Yep. So they're all stunnable, but if we start on the ads and we prioritize one and then prioritize the second one, we're going to be able to just go back on the boss and avoid most of the mechanics. Because the mechanics here is that the ads don't really have a very clean aggro table, and what they'll do is, oh, she has 3 ads, sorry. What they'll do is they'll just start running around the raid, cleaving like crazy. So we need to get rogues in position as fast as possible to get up there and start stunning them. And then we need to put as many stuns on the one that we're targeting as fast as possible. There's that AoE cleave. Look at how the ads are just running around like chickens with their heads cut off on this. This fight is hectic. It's very hectic. And all we can try and do is DPS them down and get as much threat on them as possible for as long as possible. This is not going to be a tank fight. This is going to be a try and tank while we try and DPS as long as we can. Again, they are stunnable. Anytime we can, make sure you're stunning them when they're not cleaving. See, she's spinning, she's cleaving, don't stun her there. Stun her in between those. Again, we're going to have markouts, we're going to have callouts. We're going to try and focus one, focus the next, focus the third, and then as you can see, then we're on the boss.
Do fears and death coils work?
What?
Do fears and death coils work?
I'm sorry, someone's like yelling in the background.
He's asking if fears or death coils work. I think it's just stuns that CC them.
Yeah, I believe it's like, you know, cheap shot, kidney shot, hammer of justice, concussion blow. Those things are going to work. And then after we kill all the ads, then we're moving on the boss. It's going to be a pretty hectic fight. She does a rage at the end at 20%. I think she also sunders the tanks as well. So the tanks are going to take increasing damage. But as you can see, it's not even like she's really... Yeah, there's a sunder. It's not even really like she focuses the tank at all. They just run around. So we're looking at them, we're DPSing them, and we're trying to tank as best as possible. But be aware that she could turn around and she could just start whopping people here. Pretty simple fight at the end of the day in terms of what she does, but very difficult fight in terms of how confusing it is. So anyone who can stun, please stun. That gives us a lot of leeway to light her up while she's not running around like crazy, and should give us more of an edge when killing. I believe the ads are tauntable. I don't think that she's tauntable though. Yeah.
Are lips helpful?
I mean, it helps you not take damage.
From what I know, the threat works the same as Annihilators, right? So if you lip, they'll stop running at you.
All right, so let's try this boss. Everyone stack up on diamond. We'll have Ferris, Yabo, and let's see, Lizard. I'm gonna make you the last one. Okay, so everyone, where's my last one? Where's X? Who's X? All right, so Shannon, Lizard, and Yabo, and Ferris, can you guys all mount up, please? Everyone mount up and come to diamond. Sorry, not you, Ferris. You just go where the boss would be. Where did my skull go? Okay. Everyone who is one part of the boss, can you please put Ferris on follow? Moon, go put Square on follow. Yeah, and Liz, you can mount up and put him on follow. All right, come back here, guys. She has a very long aggro radius, and we're gonna be, yeah, Robin, I'm gonna dismount this all in a moment. Okay, come back here to diamond, guys. Come back here to diamond. So tanks want to target their ads. We would also put out rogue assignments as well. since Tiv can concussion blow, we would probably have the rogues target the other ones first, just so we can get a concussion blow in there. Tiv, can you come back here? Ajar, can you come back here, please? Okay. So this is kind of how Sartura, she just wanders around in her big-ass room like crazy. We're all going to be dismounted, so everyone dismount, please. Some of us may be mounted, but for the most part, we'll all be dismounted. Let's just have the time con target X, Goob target Moon for what it's worth. And then all of the tanks, you're on normal assignments here. And we would be tanking them as best as possible. So we'd be running in. Everyone dismount. Everyone dismount. Tiv, hold. On diamond, guys. On diamond. Everyone target your ads here. So she'd be running around. We would want the rogues and the tanks up first, and then we would count this down, and then we would go on our ads. And with all of the ads and everyone there, don't stop moving. Just run around the raid as much as possible. Everyone would be following them and trying to stun them. So 3, 2, 1, move on in. Move on in. Perfect. Yep. So we would just, all right, all of the ads, you just be splitting up. Everyone spread out. Everyone spread out. You would be on your ad, trying to tank it as much as possible. We would start, say, on Skull. Start on Skull. Well, Skull's not moving, luckily, but they would be moving around a lot. They would be targeting random people. We would just be trying to hit them. We'd be trying to tank them. And then when Skull is down, we would move to X. X is running around like crazy. We would be trying to tank X, be stunning them as much as possible in between those cleaves, trying to taunt them if possible. If it doesn't work, then we won't taunt. And then when X goes down, we'd move on to Moon. Everyone would be on Moon. Square's running around like crazy. Moon's running around like crazy. We're just trying to kill them, taunt them, get them down as fast as possible. And then we would be on Square. Square's going to continue moving around. We're going to all fight for threat on that one by that point. Again, the threat is not really great. They do just sort of lose aggro and drop it and then just run across the raid. So all of the casters should be spread out as much as possible to give us as much time to get them back as we can. And then at 20% she enrages. We try and burn her down. Boom. Done and done. Like, obviously, this is not what this is our best attempt at what it's going to look like. It's going to be crazy. We're just going to be running around a little bit like chickens with our heads cut off. But the important part is to sort of embrace the chaos and focus on what you can do. Focus on who you can target. Stun them if you are able to. Help tanks, help grab those ads once yours goes down so that you can help sort of manage that chaos. Casters should be spread out and coming to the tanks if they're coming towards you, or let them come as long as they can and then blink towards the tank or run towards the tank and death coil for a little extra HP. Try and survive this fight. Stay away from the cleaves if you're a caster, and keep a cool head because it's going to be crazy. Ferris, Thror, anything to add into that?
When we
Oh god.
when we initially pull, you just got to be careful because her threat range is like really far. Her aggro range. I think the boss is tauntable. Correct me if I'm wrong, Ferris. But anyways, I'm not too sure. But with the tanks that are taking the ads, if you could at least initially, you could try to put your backs to the walls because they also have a knockback, so that would just make it even more chaotic if like the tanks are knocked back across the room and then, the ads either follow or I guess they drop threat from that. So you just gotta be careful about that. And anyways, Ferris, you go ahead.
I think making it to a wall. Like I've never seen a video where they made it to a wall.
Yeah, I don't think the knockback is
It's
a
not that
huge
bad.
thing. I mean, yeah, the ads go down also pretty fast. I was just gonna say for DPS, don't panic when you pull aggro or anything like a normal boss. Like just keep DPSing, keep just focusing everything down because it is pretty hectic. Things are all over the place. It's just keep, it's like almost you should tunnel vision these. Just keep DPSing as fast as possible, get them down as soon as possible. And the stuns are are huge. So the more we can get those, the better.
And just for the main tanks on the boss itself, I think it was like, I guess, Tiv and Glam, maybe Coyote, I don't know. It's ideal to have at least 2 tanks on the main boss, just because they stack Sunders on our tanks, so we'll just have to like swap when I don't know, we think it's necessary at like 4 or 5 stacks. I don't know, even 3, who knows, but we'll see. Yeah, so Sartura does like a threat drop, but I think just like the others, but yeah, I think she can be taunted, from my understanding. Anyways, that's it.
So, did I understand correctly that the rogues then are going to be following a specific target the whole fight for that?
Well, for the rogues, I think you'll just be spread out well, just so that you could like stun specific ones. You don't want to be on any, like, I think all rogues will be hopefully evenly distributed so that they can put out stuns, help with that kind of stuff. And then also paladins can use Hammer of Justice here, potentially. Maybe if you see an ad that's coming towards you and it's not whirlwinding, you just hodge, and then you run away. It doesn't take too much mana, it's 100 mana, so, you know, it's basically like a flash of light, maybe rank 4 or something like that, so it's an easy bit of mana there, and then you just pop out. But that could help. Anything to help with stuns, I think, is good. So it's like rogues evenly distributed, pallies help when you can, and for the other stuns, I don't know, I guess warriors, what is it, concussion blow? Something like that? I don't know.
No, that's just prot.
Yeah, only prot has that, so just
okay, yeah.
Try everything you have. I mean, as soon as we get there, try everything you have, see what works, so you know going forward.
And the boss enrages at, well, 20%, as many bosses do. So, but by then we'll have all the ads down, I'm sure.
That's only difficult if you've had like 15 people die.
Oh yeah.
If you have, you know, pretty much a full raid group, the enrage isn't anything. It's not like a Princess huhuran enrage. It's like, it's more of a formality at that point if you have your full raid group up. So it's nothing to get too alarmed about, but.
So from what I was researching, when they do the threat drop, it's like there's like a 5-second buffer. That's why there's so much running around, and why you can't just immediately pick the boss and the ads back up, is because I think they just have this threat drop for 5 seconds and then they go back to their original threat pool. So you just
that
like,
sounds right.
For that buffer, you just kind of have to like just gotta tank it, I guess. Just hope for the best, spread out like we were saying, and hopefully you don't get cleaved to oblivion. But that should be it for Sartura. I think Glam DC'd or something.
Yeah, my computer just died, so I'm reloading my computer.
All right, no worries.
I'm gonna buy it real quick then.
I gotta tell my the raw dogs that we will do MC after this.
Yeah, and if you have space for some raid 1 people, I'm sure that
oh
we have
yeah,
some people
100%.
who would join for MC as well.
How much time, Thor?
Maybe like give us another 30 to 40 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah, I can just logging in. Do you want to go over the trash afterwards then in
Sure.
your list?
Yeah, hold on, let me get back to that. Just want to look at your stream as well. Okay, so yeah, for the trash, so the next part is the Gauntlet. So this is pretty much, I mean, it's, I was talking to Ferris with it like briefly about it, like sort of comparing it to the suppression room a little bit. But of course, there's no like slowing traps or anything like that. It's just this long tunnel that we have to go through with tons of regular mobs and then like sporadic elite mobs. So typically what I've seen raids do is they'll hug the left of the tunnel because at the end of the tunnel, like the safe spot before you get to the next boss, so that you don't like pull it and that you don't also pull adds from behind from the Gauntlet tunnel. The safe spot is on the left side, so we would have to hug the left side to get to that. But anyways, so the rule of thumb is that we run through. We're not going to have mounts here, so it might be a thing. I don't think people usually use mounts for this, but for the Gauntlet, you run through, you get as many of the regular adds as possible until you're right at about 1 elite add. And so when you get that, you just have a tank take the elite add. Of course, try and get a bunch, like a tank or two to intimidating shout, get those extra adds. But really, I think with the mages and the warlocks, you know, we're gonna have plenty of AoE damage to take those normal adds down. It's at that point just the elites, and it's pretty simple. I mean, the elites don't have any special abilities as far as I know, unless people know otherwise. Ferris, do you have anything?
No, you don't mount up for it. You just gotta move through fast. You know, get a couple packs down. It's a little bit different than your suppression room, where you know you can kind of control it a little bit more. Like, you control the pace a little bit better. This is going to be, we need to continuously move.
Yeah, we can't drink, unfortunately.
I mean, you need to have basically a decent pace, but a controllable pace. I think there's maybe one place we can break, but that might not even be true. So
yeah,
like,
we're gonna.
It's just going to be a continuous pace. You need to watch your mana. You need to. I mean, obviously, everyone's got to be moving. Everyone's got to be paying attention. There aren't like cubby holes that we can go in cubby holes and take breaks. I mean, it's a fluid, like, once we're ready to go and once we're getting into it, we are doing the entire thing and doing the next boss, like, right away.
And I'm sure it'll show on, like, Glam's stream once he gets back on, but I have a video that I posted on the spreadsheet during the Gauntlet section. You can see it's like a little mini link there. And it, if you click on that, you just got to mouse over it and then click on the title. If you go to that, it's at 5 minutes 10 seconds in. Basically, the end of the video there is where they go to the safe spot. So you could see the boss there at 5 minutes 10 seconds in. Let me mute this video. And then they wrap around the left, and then there's like this little alcove that they go into. That's where we sit, we buff, we mana up, and we get ready for the boss, and it keeps us safe from the Gauntlet, from any respawns. Because just like
the last thing
go ahead.
The last thing I want to mention is that this is a lot like the Athenium in BRD. You know, like there's basically a bunch of small bugs with one bug that's a different color that is an elite, and those are the ones that we need to tank, and then we're going to AoE them down all together. But when we kill those bugs, we move to the next little segment of the tunnel and we do the same thing. So mana regen is important, but just like in the Athenium and just like in the suppression room, the adds behind us will spawn real quick. So we need to pack up as tight as we can so that we don't accidentally pull aggro again. I don't think that the elite spawn, but it's still just a bunch of adds that we're already running on tight mana. It's just we don't want to do that. It's not, pulling more is not worth it.
You can also have auto warriors and rogues, or warrior elites. Mages can just generate manas.
Yeah. All right. I will be back in just 30 seconds time back on Discord and online, and we'll get started again. The next boss that we're getting to, I believe, is Ahn'Qiraj.
Yes. So,
anyone have any random ass questions up to this point?
Consumes gear.
Oh,
anything?
also, yeah, with nature res gear, the absolute ideal, and this is pretty. I mean, it's pretty high, and I guess it's expected maybe hopefully of the hunters or whoever can really get it at a certain point. But the ideal amount of unbuffed nature res is 200. So if you can get anywhere close to that as AQ approaches, I know there's like only so many like nature res pieces you can get before AQ, but if you can get up to that, then that would be good. But that's especially for when we get to Princess Huhuran.
Alright, stream is back up. Let's hope my computer doesn't shit the bed again.
But maybe before... Well, tell me when you're ready in it, and you can just take over. But for Ahn'Qiraj, it's really, you just take the boss... the tank will face the boss away, DPS from the back, healers stand in the back area as well, and you're going to need off tanks to take out these hatchlings that come from the sort of surrounding caves. If you see like the second picture on the spreadsheet there's some like extra tunnels there, and there's some adds that will spawn from various locations. The boss does this thing called entangle, so he'll root a player and like pin them in front of one of the tunnel entrances, I believe for maybe 10 seconds, something like that. So during that time we'll have to have heals specifically, put a lot of heals on that, because I think even during the pin, even if they're not being attacked, like they take some damage. If maybe if I'm wrong, I could be corrected there, but
yeah.
And then let's see. Oh yeah, and also for the tanks, it's like there's going to be a taunt swap according to the amount of mortal wound stacks that you have. So when that gets too high, when it's overwhelming for the healers, we'll probably just call it out or something, and we'll just do tank swaps. We have plenty of like really solid tanks to make that happen.
Yeah, okay, so stream is back up.
Okay.
Everyone hop into the stream if you can. And that was basically Ahn'Qiraj in a nutshell. So I'll just show the video right afterwards of Ahn'Qiraj, but this is what the tunnel looks like. As you can see, it's pretty easy to see that elite. The other guys are not elites. As you can see, they're hugging the left. They want to get up as much as possible through this segment. No DPS really, unless you're trying to help group them up. But we want to move down as much of the segment as we can while pulling as many of them as we can. We have 3 Thunder Furies. That should make it a little easier. Boom, grab the elite, group them all up, AoE them down, keep your mana as high as possible as you can.
Oh, me and DC. No.
Rip.
All right. Well, I'll just.
Yeah, my computer just shit the bed again, so I don't think I can stream simultaneous to all of this.
Oh.
But,
okay.
Maybe Thor, if you can put up a stream or something of this, I can send you the link to if you want.
Sure. Hold on.
But
yeah, can you send me the
But
link?
basically, we just do that the entire way. And what Thor said about Ahn'Qiraj was correct. I mean, the goal. And sorry about this, guys. I think my computer's just super overheated because of the summertime, and then I'm trying to do too many things with it. But it's really important we have tanks on there. It is supposedly tauntable, but I have heard that I have been reading through some comments and seeing that it wasn't tauntable. So we do have to bear in mind that it's possible that we won't be able to taunt. So threat management will be very important if that is the case. Adds do spawn behind. They do need to get the kills, but basically, there's just these big worms, and those are the ones we need to prioritize because they will one-shot people. including the tanks. And in the video, if I can show it, or if I was showing it, the main tank, the one screaming, gets one shot.
Double stress that, triple stress that. Worms need to fucking die. It's the only thing that will wipe us on this fight.
After 15 to 20 seconds, they'll enrage, so it's like that fast, so we have to be really quick.
The worms need to die immediately. The other ads should be getting cleaved down and killed. If it's taking too long, we're going to call the DPS to switch to them and kill them. All DPS to switch to them and kill them. But those worms need to die immediately.
And switching DPS to a mob that needs to die as soon as possible is something we need to learn and be good at by the time we get to Cthulhu. So this is great practice for Cthulhu. So keep it in mind.
Outside of that, it's going to just be tank and spank for the most part. There's just going to be some ads to spawn that we really need to super hard focus down. And the tanks will be losing, we'll be getting Mortal Strikes, so we will need to rotate tanks, but they're all going to be standing in front of the boss, and then everyone will be standing behind the boss and just DPSing him there. People will be keeping their eyes out for the ads when they spawn, call them out, so then an off tank can try and pick them up. And then after that, should be no problem, should be quite easy. Anything else to add there, guys?
I think that's it.
Okay. What's next on the list?
So that's Viscidus.
Okay. Viscidus is another optional boss. I think this one's going to be pretty doable. I do want to try this one sooner rather than later. This is one of the bosses why I'm telling people to go engineering, because the more sappers we have on this boss, the better. But the simplicity of Viscidus is that he is a boss that A, might require a little nature resistance, and B, doesn't follow traditional DPS, just the standard DPS style. All we're going to do is hit him with frost attacks. This is the boss that is a giant ooze, and you need to do 200 frost attacks to him to freeze him completely, and then you need to do 75 melee attacks to shatter him. And when he shatters, he explodes, and a bunch of oozes in a ring start running back to where he exploded. And what we do is everyone's going to have their frost gear equipped. We're going to tank and spank him in that phase. You just won't do any DPS to him. When he's frozen, everyone is going to collapse on him, and they are going to melee him, including casters. Everyone is going to be hitting him with your weapon. And once we've meleeed him enough times to shatter him, we're all going to be in that nice tight circle, and when the ads start coalescing back around it, we are going to all sapper and blast wave and any AoE you have to try and do as much damage to them all as possible. Because each of these ads we kill deals 5% of his health, or 5% of his health's damage. So if we can get basically all of them, he's dead. What I imagine this will be is more or less, this should be just one pull for us. He's going to do AoE poisonful volleys, so there will be some AoE nature damage. And again, because it's not really a DPS fight, we can all put on nature resist with our frost damage and just take a very little damage while we're at it. Once he explodes, we're all grouped up in the middle, because I'm going to say collapse, collapse, collapse. We're all going to collapse, and then he's going to explode into those pieces and start running to the center. I think he moves pretty quickly, so we're going to try and do a call out, and we're going to try and sapper all at the same time as much as possible to get those ads when they're all in the explosion radius. Might happen, might not. Alright, I'm logging back in to WoW in just 1 minute. Anybody else have anything else to add to Viscidus?
Sounds like a pay-to-win boss.
I assume we're going to switch back to our main big kid weapons when it comes to the ads.
Nope, the ads, well, I mean, I guess you can. The ads, there's going to be very little time to actually DPS them down. We're basically going to stand there and hold until they get close enough, and then we're all going to AoE as much as possible. This is very...
Really damage them at all?
You can also damage them, absolutely. And if you'd like to, you can. But the most efficient way for anyone to deal damage is to have an AoE ability that when we all let it off, you do that as well and hit as many of them as possible. And the reason why is because if that ad gets back to the middle with 1 HP,
it doesn't count.
It doesn't count. And so the more of them we can AoE down together, the better. If you don't have engineering, if you don't have AoE, pick 1 or 2 of them and start burning them down as much as possible. Move to the next one, whittle them down, and then we'll go from there. Everyone else who can't have any and every AoE, we're going to want to do that right then and there. All right, now I'm hopping back into Discord. I'll be online afterwards in just 1 second.
And yeah, I think you said it. What now?
Are we buying sappers ourselves, or how's that?
Yeah, I think so. You just buy a sapper, 1 sapper, 2 sappers. Should be good. Save it for this boss.
We can talk to Thug about maybe discounting some sappers, but anyone who's farming Mithril, Mage Weave, and Solid Stone, please send it to the bank so that we can distribute as many sappers as possible for the first fight. You know, when we go into Sartura, we can sapper. All 4 of the ads help us out a little bit. When we're at huhuran and she hits 30%, everyone sappers. Another extra damage to get her down even quicker.
But yeah, like if for whatever reason we don't finish the first wave, which is pretty possible, I guess I don't know how much damage we can really output when they're close there. But once we get to the if we get to a second phase, it's just the same thing as how we started. We do the 200 frost attack, 75 melee, and then back to it with the slimes coming in. But besides that, I think Glam said everything. Like,
rank 1 stuff, use max rank.
Yeah, rank 1 frost bolts just to get the fast frost damage stuff out there.
Faster cast. Are you going to be okay to stream
Yeah.
live? And
Where do you have the link?
send it to you.
Did you send it? Where'd you send it?
Sorry, incoming. I'm just timestamping it for you.
Oh.
Okay. Logging back in. Sorry about this, guys. My computer is just overheating.
Alright, let me stream. Hold on.
Do you want to just go back to Fankris so we can show the positioning and show what the worms look like?
For whatever reason, it just gives me WoW for a streaming option.
If anyone wants to watch, I'm running a big circuit. So I'm running from where you guys are through a couple of zones around, and I'm going to circle
Yeah,
back.
Tor, if you go to the bottom, it says screen, and you should be able to click that and then switch the screen that you're streaming.
The bottom.
In Discord, in the bottom left, it says your name, and then it says video and screen. You should be able to click screen and change the screen.
Okay. What? Something gave out. Hold on.
So we're just going to show the Fankris one. We can practice it right afterwards. If you guys can just hop into Thor stream, please.
I gotta also change the stream on YouTube. Hold on.
Wait, are you streaming on YouTube and on Twitch?
No, not on Twitch.
Oh, it says you are. I'm watching your stream.
Okay, so this is the last part of the gauntlet. We're also going to see the safe spot that Thor was talking about as well. But they're moving through to the end.
So this is the safe spots, but they're they move in at about here. This is the end of it, and then, well, they sit right here. So this is like another option if you wanted to use this. He runs up, like after that big sort of pillar-looking whatever thing that is. There, they run up here, so they are LOS for many of the gauntlets mobs that spawn behind them. But also, you know, they have the boss there. So maybe this is an easier way to go about it, if we want to do it this way. But anyways, they go in and they do the boss. And the tank faces away as he's doing.
Yep, so again, we're going to be tank swapping if possible, because those mortal strikes do reduce healing. As you can see, the casters want to stand directly behind the boss's tail. And the melee want to be right up on his butt. So see how well grouped they are here? That helps them kill all the adds as easily as possible. And there is a worm. Those are the ones we need to kill immediately. That skull right there, that worm guy, he's going to rage and he's going to start whopping people. So they need to die immediately. Afterwards, it's going back, AoEing, killing the boss. I don't know if you can see the damage, the DPS on this boss, but this is going to be pretty tank and spanky. You need to focus the adds, or they're going to start one-shotting people, though. And in this one, as you can see, he's fully world buffed right now. He's got healers on him. Boom, instant shot, dead. That's how dangerous those adds are. Because, as you can see, the boss was at 10%. The DPS stopped paying attention. They let one of the main tanks die for that fight. So it's going to be very important to stay on those adds no matter what percentage they're at, because that will help our tanking and our chances of surviving further on down the raid. Here's Viscidus. We've basically gone over it, but we can just watch the fight again. There's two ways of doing this. One is having the melee outside while the casters do all of the freezing. But I just think if we have enough NR, and we have so many frost damp weapons that we're going to be able to light them up immediately. Boom. So, oh, I think we went a little too far. Yeah, this is a really good stream. I usually use the arrows for swapping around here. But yeah, so they're going to start hitting them. See, those are the AoE poison bolts. That's why we want the nature resistance, is to avoid those poison bolts that are hitting everyone, or at least resist them partially. But healers, that's kind of just the only job you have, is to heal the main tank and heal up those poison bolts. As you can see, he's going to give out different callouts when he's freezing up, when he's frozen solid, and what happened?
I don't know. It's kind of weird.
Just if you just let it play,
okay,
we should be able to. So this is the second round, but the same thing is actually. Can you go back, Thor? Can you?
Yeah.
Because if he's under 5% and we freeze and shatter him, he dies. Okay, so here he's freezing up. Now he's frozen. Everyone's collapsing right now. You want to collapse on the boss as much as possible. 75 melee hits is going to shatter him. Boom. All of the adds are going. Now watch. They move much quicker the closer to the center they get. So sapper now, and boom. You hit all of the adds as much as possible. He comes back at 5% because they only missed one sapper. Do you see how clean that can be if we all group up and just sapper like that? If we have enough AoE, it's going to be very easy to kill Viscidus, and we should be able to kill him in 2 of these rounds, essentially.
And it looks like they're doing damage with the frost, so it's like if we get him low enough, then like we could probably just kill him. Or it's melee damage.
Yeah, well, he takes like 75 or 80% reduced damage.
Oh, okay.
From all attacks, and he can't die. As you see, he's at 1%. He can't die from regular attacks. He has to die from getting shattered. But if he's under 5%, as you will see, he's going to freeze up, and then you have to run in and melee him, and when you run in and melee him and shatter him, he dies. So I'm essentially assuming if we don't kill him in the first round, what we'll do is we'll send people out to go DPS down the adds one by one and kill him, but we should be able to two-phase him here. Okay. Next up we have I don't really want to go through how that boss works, but I do want to talk about the adds next, because we have the Ahn'Qiraj Lashers coming up soon. And the Karaji Lashers are just mini Battleguard Sarturas. Basically, those ads are the chick insects, and they run around dropping aggro and cleaving. So there's going to be very important ads for us to focus on how we're killing them, because they need to die first. There also comes with Vecnus Wasps and Vecnus Stingers. The important thing is that we will be taking a lot of damage on these ads. Here they are right here. As you can see, once we mount up, we can actually avoid a lot of this trash as they run through an entire room. We won't be able to do that, so we're going to have to pull them carefully, and we're going to have to watch out for those Karaji Lashers. Those are the ones that, again, they look like Battleguard Sartura. If you're still not sure who I'm talking about, just search Karaji Lasher and see what they look like. Again, tanks need to taunt them when possible, if possible, and those need to go down first. The Vecnus Wasps need to go down second, and the Stingers third. These are the ones that should spawn right before huhuran. What these people are doing is they're actually going past Huhu's room, and they're clearing more of those Sentinels. The anubisath, these guys are slightly different. They're the anubisath defenders. But they're going to clear that room and then pull Huhu to that room. So we'll go over Huhu in a second. Let's talk about these defenders real quickly. These guys have 4 different abilities. A Meteor, Shadow Bolt Volley / Thunderclap, an Enrage, or a Resist ability. So they're a lot like the other guys. What we do need to do, boom, there was a Meteor that just happened. What we need to do when we find these abilities is we need to adapt to them. The Meteor means we all stack up. It's that simple. Stack up, you take less damage because it's split up amongst your group. If it's a Thunderclap, melee's just going to take AoE damage. We need to be ready to heal that AoE damage. If it's Enrage and Explode, everyone runs out as they start exploding. And then the Reflect, pretty obviously, just don't cast that spell type at them, and we should be fine. It is important to pay attention to that one. If we're not grouped up, when we pull these guys, someone could get hit by a Meteor and die. Can you fast forward a little bit to huhuran? There's not much to see in huhuran, in my opinion. There's no mechanics to follow in terms of moving around. What's going to happen is we're going to have wiped by the time we get to her. Here she is. Can you just pause that, Thor?
Yep.
Okay, so we're going to have wiped by this point. We're not going to have our world buffs at this point. So there's 2 methods we're going to try, and this is important. The thing about huhuran is that she's on a timer, because when she hits 30%, it's either you kill her before her enrage kills you. There's 2 ways of doing that. One is hard burn, and the other is nature resist and grind her down. We're going to try once with the hard burn. I don't have faith in that without world buffs, but I do want to try it, and I want to see how close we get. The other option is we're going to wear our nature resist, and we're going to have soakers. So huhuran is all about nature damage. The goal of huhuran is we're going to have abilities going out. One is Wyvern Sting, which sleeps someone just like the Hunter ability. You cannot dispel this because it's going to do 3k damage to them if you dispel it. So actually, we probably will need to dispel that. Ferris, you can correct me if I'm wrong here, but be ready after dispelling them to heal them. The next ability is an Acid Spit, which is just a stacking nature damage debuff. That's going to go on the tanks. We're going to have to work on juggling that.
You want to dispel the Wyvern Sting off of tanks, but no one else, just because it does a 3k damage when it's dispelled. So it might kill people otherwise.
In the beginning of the fight, it's not something you're gonna do towards the later half, but when you're kind of just chilling in the beginning, you can, as long as the healers are ready to pump you up, and that's not a problem. Yeah.
Okay. And then the last thing is that she's going to enrage every once in a while, and the hunters will need to trank shot this. If we don't trank shot her fast enough, what she'll start doing is emitting these poison bolt volleys to the 15 closest members, and she'll hit for 150% faster, and she'll hit 150% faster. Those are the 2 things. So that enrage needs to be tranked off every time. Our hunters know how the rotation, they know how it works. When she hits 30%, that enrage is not going to get taken off. I believe we still have 5 seconds before the enrage starts actually using those abilities, or the AoE poison bolt abilities. But when she starts doing that, we need to pop every single cooldown we have and try and down her as quickly as possible, or she's just going to start pumping out too much damage and we're not going to be able to survive it. Again, there's 2 ways of doing this. One is we have a nature protection pot and we just pop it at that point, and hopefully somehow we kill her before she kills us. If you're a dwarf, you should be standing, if you're a dwarf caster, you should be standing closer to the princess, to the boss. If you're a paladin, you should be standing closer to the princess, to the boss, so that you can bubble and soak some of those hits if our melee start going down. If you are a non-dwarf, non-paladin caster, you should be as far away as physically possible, so that you're just pumping as much as possible before dying. If we have nature res, obviously the damage is going to be slower, but the kill will be less volatile. It'll just be a more steady go. Bring your barrow of peasant callers. I've heard that if you summon the peasants, they will also act as soakers for 1 poison bolt, so you can just pop that, and then we'll have less AoE damage being taken in general. This is going to be a tricky fight, but I think at the end of the day, more people are scared of her for less reasons. She is, at the end of the day, sort of a tank and spank. You just need to listen to the callouts. You need to be ready with your greater nature protection potions, and you need to be ready to go balls deep as soon as she hits 30% and I say we need to burn. At the end of the day, it's just going to be a question of how prepared we are and how much damage our raid can do. And I'm pretty confident that we're prepared and that our raid is capable of pumping those numbers. After her, we have a few more defenders, but again, listen to our callouts. We'll tell you where to go. Stay grouped up when we're on those defenders, and we make it to the Twin Emps. Twin Emperors, it's a tricky fight, but it's pretty straightforward at the end of the day. We will do just a practice run of this in game in 1 second, guys, but I'm going to go over sort of what it is. We're going to have all of our warlocks prepared to tank, but we're going to have 2 warlock tanks with 1 in the middle DPSing. Those 2 warlock tanks are going to be the caster tank, because this is Twin Emperors. 1 Emperor is a caster, 1 Emperor is a melee. Can you pause it real quick, Thor? And here's how it works. When they're near each other, they start healing. So we need to tank them separately on separate sides of the room. The melee one is going to be tanked and DPS by melee. The caster one is going to be tanked and DPS by caster. They teleport, they switch where they're standing every once in a while. So what we need to do, and we'll have DBM timers for this, is 5 seconds before they're about to teleport, the melee will run to the other side, start DPSing down that melee boss. The casters will then turn their attention to the other side and get ready to DPS down the caster boss. Warlocks will be spamming Searing Pain. That's not too important. The Warlocks know what they're doing. Robin, check in with your people if they don't know how to Warlock tank. We can work on that separately. Healers need to be on the Warlock tanks and on the main tanks. Outside of this, outside of sort of this back and forth that's happening, bugs will start getting enraged. We need to DPS down the bugs, or they're going to become a pain in the ass. This one's just about managing properly. And if we do that, we'll be fine. Some of the bugs explode, some of the bugs enraged. We're going to call out what you need to do and what's happening to those bugs. Just for simplicity's sake, I'm not going to go too deep into it. All you need to know is when bugs get targeted and buffed, kill them. Yeah, so why don't you play this, and I'll talk a little bit more about that. And we want to tank them on separate sides. As you can see, this room is sort of a big hexagon. We want to just bring the melee boss to one side, as you see right here. And then we're going to bring the caster boss is literally just mirror image on the other side right there. One of the larger bugs is enraged. You should DPS down that bug, then go back to the boss. And when another bug gets buffed, DPS down that bug, go back to the boss. As you can see, the timer's counting down, so all of the melee are moving to the other side. You don't want to stand by the caster, because the caster can fuck you up if you're too close to that caster boss. Boom. Teleports right there. Other tank is ready to pick up that ad. taunts it, we start DPSing again. The casters are now they're standing on the stairway between the two, and they've just focused the other one. Make sure that the Warlock picks up the caster as much as possible, because if you're not within melee range of that caster boss, he is going to ruin everyone's day. Outside of that, pretty straightforward. As you can see, some bugs are sort of popping up. Melee peel to clear out those ads, and then they go, and this is happening as they're transitioning. So a good time to kill the bugs is as we're moving over to the other side. Teleport happened right now, so we're back on the boss. And that's it. That's the basic idea of this boss. You know, it is kind of hectic, but at the end of the day, if you guys are focusing on the swap and we're killing the ads, all you need to do is make sure that you are letting the tanks be the closest thing to those bosses so that they pick them up. As you can see, they do the move over and the other tank is already in position. Watch this swap. 3, 2, 1, boom, swaps. The tank is already picking him up right there. So he's out of range. Once the swap happens, he's running in and taunting immediately. They're at 40%. It's going to be a long fight. It's going to be tough. It's going to be arduous, but the mechanics itself are pretty straightforward. So as everyone stack up on Diamond, we'll have Ferris be one boss, and Shannon, you can be the other boss. Why don't you guys just start? Everyone just stay where you are, please. Shannon, if you can just start over here. And Ferris, if you can kind of mirror that on the other side. Yeah, perfect. A little more if you could. It's a big room, guys. So there's going to be a lot of movement involved. So when we first get into the room, there's going to be stairs right here where Diamond is. All the casters just get to stand right there. Lucky you. Boom. And yeah, you can pause that, Thor. Thank you. Gotcha. What we're going to do, everyone stack up on here. Where's Tiv?
So they don't start here, though. They start up here.
Yeah. Sorry, I was just gonna put you guys there for simplicity's sake, but I'll talk about that in a second. Where's Tiv? Where did Tiv go?
He's taking a stroll.
Log in if you can, guys. We're just gonna practice this one real quickly. Mostly melee log in if you can.
Tiv made it to Stone Talon.
Jesus.
I can't accept that. There's a...
Can I have my other tank over here, please?
This is a journey, man. This is spiritual at this point.
Nice.
Look at where I am. Look at my stream.
You know, I kind of like that Mark of Cthulhu. Maybe I'll get it.
No, you don't. Only an idiot would like that.
All right.
I'll be the tank.
Thank you, Thor. Appreciate it. All right, so Iluvatar will be the other tank here. And essentially what's going to happen, everyone stack up on Diamond. All of the casters are going to stay on this little, where we are right now, because that's the steps, that's where you stay. Thror is going to be the only person, he's going to move up to where X is, but stay out of melee range. He's going to be ready to run in and tank the boss when they switch. So all of the melee are going to be on me, and the bosses are going to start farther back, they're on their own little podiums. But when we run in, so let's run in slowly with Diamond, please. Yep. And Thror is the only one going left along with the caster tank, as you can see Chadswick is doing. So I'll grab the boss, I'll pull him to the wall, I'll start DPSing him. All the DPS are going to be on him behind. So let's count this down from 30 seconds. We're going to be DPSing the bugs. Casters, you want to stay where Ajar is. You want to stay on those stairs. You want to stay there and DPS and heal. We've got 15 seconds left. We're staying on the boss. Switch to the bugs. Wolfrid, go by Ajar. Please go by the stairs. All casters want to be by the stairs except for the warlocks who are tanking. So 5 seconds left. Everyone switch to the other side. Melee run to the other side. Thror is going to be leaking towards melee range here. And then they're going to swap. So melee, you should be over at X now. Melee should be heading towards X. When I say get ready to switch, look at X, eyes on X. And then they're going to swap. And when that happens, Thror stands in. Ralbin, or the warlock caster on that side moves out, and then say Ralbin will be tanking square, and all of the casters will be on square and melee on X. Yep, and then so we'll be DPSing that. When the bugs show up, we'll say switch over to the bugs at that period. Melee, keep DPSing the boss. 5 seconds left. Everyone get ready to swap. So casters get out of melee range, please. Melee are running to square again. So when we're saying swap, 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 you're running to the other side to get on the boss, and then boom, I'm here on the boss to pick them up when they teleport. And casters are then focusing on the other side. Yeah, Roar, you can just stand right there, and then whenever the melee is there, you would pop in to tank it, and whenever the caster is there, you pop out not to tank it.
Okay, and
So-
we're gonna have 2 tanks on each side for that?
We would have probably have 1 tank on each side with a backup tank running from side to side.
I see, okay.
And so, basically we'll be doing this. You'd be swapping to bugs. The caster is X right now, so all casters should be on X. All melee should be on square. 5 seconds left, melee switch, so you're running across. You're waiting for the switch to happen, and then you're moving into melee. So boom, the switch happened, I moved out, the warlocks are now tanking square, the melee are now on X, and we continue doing that with switching over to the bugs as soon as possible. So that's kind of the flow of what's happening here, and that's kind of the pace of what's going on. They're going to swap a lot, so we need to have that back and forth practice. We need to be ready for that as much as we can. And if we do that, the rest of the mechanics are pretty straightforward. It's just a war of attrition. Can we follow the pattern well enough? Can we kill the ads? Are we going stuff like that. Anything to add for these bosses, guys?
Shit, son.
Yeah, I don't think it's being stressed enough, because it's the only thing that will wipe us on this fight is the actual mechanic of how aggro is swapped from tank to tank. The closest person, when the teleport happens, the closest person to the boss gets all the aggro. So when you're saying, all right, 5 seconds to switch, it's not get ready to switch, it's get the fuck out. It's you don't hang around for DPS, you don't try and get an extra swing in, you get the fuck out, you get to halfway here, you wait for the teleport, and it's usually you're going to be running still, but you wait for the teleport. You don't try and cheat, you don't try and get as close to the other tank as possible. You let the warlock or whoever the tank is there get aggro first, and then you go in. I mean, the only way we wipe on this fight is if someone hangs around too much to DPS, accidentally gets aggro, and then they start to run over to this side, or they hang around too much, they start to run, they get fucked, they die, and then the aggro goes all over the place. The boss goes to halfway, he starts healing the other boss, and we completely wipe. The transition is the entire fight. You need to get the fuck out, and then you need to wait until the tank gets aggro until you get the fuck in.
Yeah,
and that's it.
For the
That's
caster
the
boss.
only thing you worry about.
Yeah. For the caster boss, like Ferris says, since it's the closest tank for both of these guys, the closest player gets initial threat. You want to have a tank sit there to take the threat before warlocks do, so that the warlocks can spam Searing Pain and get their threat up, but until they do, that tank gets that initial couple of hits just so that they can soak that damage, so the warlocks don't have to. Even though, of course, the tank can't hit the boss, it's good to just get those initial hits. So that helps.
Okay, I'm going to power through the rest of this a little bit.
Yeah.
After this boss, there's a bit more of a gauntlet where we have to go through. I'm not going to talk about this because everyone's going to be tired by the time we get to Twin Emps, and I'm going to refresh everyone's memory. But the point is, those ads that cleave and drop aggro are here. The ads that explode when they get full mana and wipe the raid are here. The mind flayer controllers are here, and those big anubisath guys are here. So after this boss is this big gauntlet that's just a clusterfuck of the worst mobs. We need to prioritize the mind controllers, we need to prioritize those Battleguard chicks, and then we need to kill the guardians or the champions. Anytime there's a nullifier, we need to be draining mana on it, and we need to kill that after the mind controllers and the battle guards are being there. And then the anubisath one should be tanked off to the side and killed last. They have a bunch of abilities, but I think specifically these mobs have meteor, they can root and fear, and they have some sort of dust cloud, which is just melee lose hit chance. There is a boss after this named Oro. He is the big worm. Optional boss, not going to be done. We're focusing on getting to a Cthulhu kill ASAP, so we will move on to him after we've sort of gotten acclimated to AQ. Final boss, Cthulhu. This boss is the one where when I say that it is up to the individual raider and your spacing to wipe or not wipe this fight, I mean it. Every single person needs to be on your shit for this fight, or all we will do is die and bang our heads against the keyboard over and over again. So the reason why I stress this is because it's very positionally heavy. Can you pause it right there real quick, Victor?
Yep.
This boss has 2 phases. The first phase is the eye phase, and the second phase is the husk phase. Everything is going to be fucking crazy for this boss. He's going to laser beam, he's going to spawn ads, and he's going to swallow people and stuff. The first phase, while he's an eye, everyone needs to stay away from the tank. I will make it very, very clear when we get there that you cannot be near the main tank when he goes into pull, because when he goes in, the Cthulhu does a chain lightning ability, and each person it hits, it does more damage to. So if we're going into pull and you guys are too close, you immediately will all chain lightning together and the entire raid will wipe. We got to res up and try again. So it's gonna be very important, and we'll watch the pull happen so that you can see it. There's 2 ways of doing it. One is that the main tank runs in and then runs out on the left side, and then everyone else comes in on the right side. The other option is that the main tank stays about 20 yards ahead. He gets bubbled, he runs in, everyone else falls in and gets into position. What I mean by get into position is every single person in our raid is going to, their group is going to have imagine this room as a giant pie, a giant circle, and it's divided into 8 slices. Each slice is going to be one group. As you can see in the groups, they have them split up. We'll probably have it slightly different, where we're going to have an even number of melee and casters in each group. In your slice of pie, you have to stay there and you have to stay away from other people. If you're too close to them, you will start chaining and taking unnecessary damage. So it's very important that you stay as far away from every person while staying in your slice as possible. During this time, you're going to be on the boss, but also, and more importantly, you're going to be on ads. He spawns a lot of stuff. He spawns eyes, he spawns tentacles, and he spawns, I think those are just the only 2 for yeah. He spawns claws and he spawns eyes. The claws just knock you up, they get tanked and DPS down. The eyes start mind flaying people, and they just need to be killed as well. I believe we prioritize the claws first because they need to be tanked, and if they're not getting tanked, they start killing ads. But essentially, when there's one in your area, you're not on boss, you're on that ad, and you're killing it as soon as possible. The tanks, the melee, the plate wearers, you're tanking the claws and you're killing it.
Other way around. I mean, the
eyes are killed first?
The eyes need to be DPS'd first because they do mind flays and they have no range on it, so they can just do it anywhere in the room whatsoever. Eyes always need to die first. Claws do need to be tanked for sure, but those are second in priority.
Okay, so we're going to practice a simplified version of this in a second, but when they go in, they're going to get in their positions first and foremost and then start killing ads. The second part, so this is basically, that's the first part of the boss, getting in position and killing ads, focusing the eyes, and then focusing the claws. And then the other part is going to be avoiding the laser beam of death. We're going to see that in a second. But the eye is going to look in a direction and shoot a laser beam out. And it's going to start rotating around the room like a really slow one of those like water sprinklers things that go around the circle. But we need to rotate with it. And we need to rotate with it in position, because if we don't, then we're all going to be sort of grouped behind the boss. He's going to turn around and lightning and kill all of us. So we need to stay where we're standing. I believe it's 180 degrees. So if you were to look, like say you were at 3 o'clock on the clock, after the glare is done, you're going to be at 9 o'clock, and you're going to be with your group at 9 o'clock. That's going to be the hardest part of this fight, is rotating with the boss's glare and staying in position for it. So here's sort of the first part of the poll. As you can see, they're starting to... Wait, is this part?
That was the glare I was trying to show. So they showed it briefly on the video.
Why don't we just start with this? Let's do this in 2 parts. So this is phase 1. Let's start at the beginning of the poll. Yep. So as you can see off on the left over there, the tank went left and everyone is moving right and into position so that nobody dies to that glare. There's the second one. There should be a third one, I believe. Boom, they're in position and they're all starting to kill ads. There's a claw tentacle. As you can see, it doesn't have a ton of health, but you do want to kill it ASAP. Throughout this, you need to... they have a DBM little green circle there to tell them that they're not in range of anyone else. But you need to look around you. You need to make sure you're in your quadrant. Look at the mini-map. Make sure you can see what you're doing. Make sure you're in the right space. And DPSing down these ads. Very important. You will have a little downtime. That is good. Let your mana regen. Boom. Right back on the ads as soon as they spawn. That is what is most important. The melee are going to be on the eyes. The melee is going to be in that black pool and killing Cthulhu as much as they can. So these guys are a little bit more practiced, but this is the eye glare right here. You can see they're standing behind it and they're rotating with it. So that as that eye glare goes out, they're killing ads, they're killing the boss, and they know where they need to get back into position for when the eye glare stops. This is critical. This is very critical. See, they're moving now. They're getting, or well, I guess actually he's just moving to an ad, but they're moving back into position so that when the glare ends, which should be in a, yep, it's right there, they're in the right spot again. Killing ads as much as they can. See, there are all the eye tentacles. They need to be killed immediately. And then the melee are going right back to boss. The casters are going right back to boss. Everyone else, stay in your position. They might get one more dark glare, but that's pretty much the basic idea. Okay, can you pause it for a second here, Thor?
Yes.
Actually, we don't really... I'm just going to continue talking about it. We don't have that many people here with us, so it's not too big of a deal to practice it. Keep playing it. I'm going to talk about phase 2. So once we get the eye down, phase 2 is going to happen and a husk is going to spawn. That husk is the final phase. Basically, everything is going to get more intense. This first part, easy. Second part, harder. I'm actually joking. All of this is hard. But giant eye tentacles are going to spawn. Those need to get killed immediately. You can interrupt these. So any eye tentacle, please try and stun them. There's the second eye glare, by the way. See how they're rotating? He's dying. They're getting back into position. What's nice about the second phase is that it doesn't do the lightning bolts. All it does instead is just summon giant tentacles and claws to kill everybody. Giant eye tentacles need to be killed first, eye tentacles second, and then the giant claw tentacles need to be killed third. When the second phase starts, and look at how big that thing is, they need to get killed. We're gonna have so many ads that we're killing. When the second phase starts, he's going to start eating people, and when he eats people, you'll be inside taking nature damage. Healers need to run out immediately. Tanks need to run out immediately. Look at how many ads are spawning. It's going to be.
I'm going to stop you there, Glam. If a healer gets swallowed in the stomach, you do wait a little bit, look who's in the stomach, top everybody off, and then get the fuck out.
Yeah, fair enough.
Don't just beat it, because DPS is going to be in there taking damage,
Except for
and
tanks.
we want them to be doing as much damage as possible. So if a healer gets in there next, we want them to be topped off so they can do more damage to the tentacles.
You can pause while you're running and stuff, but you should get out as soon as you can, I think.
Yeah, so...
Tanks, get the fuck out.
Let me just explain a little bit more what happens when you get swallowed. When you get swallowed, you're in this room that does nature damage to you. And there are going to be 2 tentacles or whatever inside them. Those things need to get DPS down as quickly as possible because we're not really killing the boss right now. We're clearing ads while we get the tentacles inside of it DPS down. When we do that, he becomes vulnerable, and that's when we start DPSing the boss down. Otherwise, if you're on the surface, you're just killing ads as quickly as you physically can.
If you're looking for it, the room, there's a picture to the room that I put. It's the second to last picture in the Cthulhu part of the spreadsheet.
Yeah. So it's not showing it here, but this is what he looks like when he's vulnerable. They got the tentacles down, and they're now DPSing down Cthulhu. Yeah, we can put that one up afterwards. But again, the DPS are going to be inside doing as much damage as possible. And yes, when the healers come in, I misspoke. You want to top everyone off as much as you can before then immediately leaving and then helping outside again. Outside of that, you want to save all of your cooldowns for this boss during the first I-beam stock, and you want to save your big cooldowns like, say, Recklessness or whatever, Blade Flurry, for when he is in this phase. This is just one phase. Look at how far down they got him during this phase. If we are on top of it and we manage our cooldowns and we have enough people up, we are going to be able to kill him in two stomach resets, basically. Not the first one, but see, that was someone getting eaten right there. Probably not in the first one, but we could easily do more than 50% to him while we do that. There was another person getting eaten, by the way. Hopefully he goes in the stomach at some point. But this entire boss, as you can see, is really about killing ads, being in the right spot, listening to the callouts, and prioritizing what you're killing. If we do that, we're going to have people inside DPSing down the tentacles. We're going to have people talking. It's going to be a little hectic, but with good communication, we can easily do this boss.
I'm just showing.
So that is the stomach right there. And the two tentacles are going to be right on those little islands. You want to DPS them down as much as you can. Once you have to leave. You see that little black circle on the other island? That's like a little jumping pad. If you're a tank, you run to that jumping pad and immediately bounce out. If you're a healer, you top everyone off and then bounce out. If you're a DPS, you stay in there as long as you physically can before leaving. Once those tentacles are close to zero, we need to say it so that we can immediately start getting into position and start burning the boss down as quick as we can. And we also want to clear all the ads too, so that we have free reign to beat down the boss.
Yeah, when he goes vulnerable, the reason for that is as soon as he goes vulnerable, he stops spawning anything. For, 30 seconds, I think he's vulnerable for. So if you have a clear floor of ads and then he goes vulnerable, you have a full 30 seconds of the entire raid group just being able to go ham. But if you have something up already, it will stay up and you'll want to finish it off. So as you can imagine, if something's still up, a giant claw or something like that, or you just had a fresh round of little eyes that just spawned, you're going to want to get those down first. And even 6 seconds, 5 seconds of DPSing something else is going to cost you a lot of damage to the boss. So the communication from inside the stomach into what's going on the main floor is very crucial.
Yeah. What's going to be hard about this boss, besides everything? Clear communication, people positioning correctly, and how quickly we can get those ads down. If we can manage the ads, if we're staying in the right place, and if we're really focusing on killing those ads as much as possible before going back to the boss, this is not about getting the highest DPS on the meters. This is about killing things correctly and following the mechanics so that we can kill the boss ASAP. If we do all of this stuff right, guys, I am confident that if we tried and we applied ourselves, we can get a week 1 Cthulhu kill, assuming there's no server issues and crashes like we had in VWL.
So one thing to prep for this boss is if you guys have mics and if you're down there, you need to tell us when the thing is about to die.
Right, exactly. So if we know when the boss is about to come vulnerable, we can actually prep for it, clear the ads, and have a nice clean burn. Anybody else have anything to add? I'll be right back in 60 seconds.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. A big part of it is just like positioning, like he was saying. We got to split up, make sure that we're in the right spots. I guess during the dark glare, like laser beam thing, we have a little bit more free range to just sort of stack behind Cthulhu, attack him from there if you're melee anyways, and just avoid the beam, and then just know on the mini map like where you're supposed to be positioned. So maybe we don't even necessarily have to rotate groups. We just, during the dark beam, we attack, and then we go straight back to the original position. It might just make it easier for us, so that it doesn't overcomplicate things. But yeah, I think that's it. I think we covered it all.
Yeah, I mean, the little eyes, they spawn in the same place every single time. We're like in the melee range of the boss, basically. The claws are completely random. And then the giant everything is completely random. So that just needs to be adjusted to. Like you see, like up on that, on the stairs, it just spawns. I mean, they're completely random. The eye beam in the first phase, it's kind of like Ahn'Qiraj, where like you want to stay away from people or else you take a bunch of damage. But in this one is a lot more punishing. If you're next to like 3 other people, you all die. And then the other thing is with the giant beam, the gaze that goes 180 degrees. It's not always exactly 180 degrees. Sometimes when it gets to the very, very end, so if you're trying to position yourself correctly and you're just like, oh, well, I'll just stand right here, it'll be close, but you know, it won't hit me. Sometimes it glitches out towards the end and it like goes an extra 5 degrees before it despawns, just for reasons. So just stay as far away from it as you possibly can. It's one of the things that will one-shot you in this fight. Keep an eye on the timer. I'm sure someone will be announcing it. And then just be ready to run, because if it spawns directly on you, and you're not already trying to run, it will kill you, especially if you are far away from him. So if you're in melee range, it's kind of easy to circle around him. I mean, you can make up a lot of ground really fast, but it's like, you know, running around a track. If you're on the outside of the track, it's a lot harder than being on the very, very inside of the track, and the beam will catch you. So if you are as far away from possible, like a hunter, maybe a warlock, maybe a mage might be. Mages is easy to get away, you just blank and you're fine. But if you're a warlock, hunter, start running to the side to avoid it, but then start trying to get to the inside as quickly as you can, to beat it.
Yeah, and again, these bosses are all like the twin imps. The twin imps and Cthulhu are marathons. They're not races. It's not about as fast as you possibly can getting the boss down as quickly as possible. It's about managing it properly. And if we can do that, yeah, we might wipe a couple times as we figure all of our shit out. You know, people are gonna die and maybe they die too quickly. But if we can figure out the mechanics and we know what we're doing, then we're going to be able to kill the boss ultimately much cleaner than if we're just trying to DPS down the boss and we're not respecting those mechanics as we should be. So I guess next time we might just do a quick practice of Cthulhu before BWL. I really want to get as many people in as possible so that we can see how the spacing works and rotate with it. But I know that some people want to do Molten Core, so why don't we get some last comments up on Cthulhu? Let's get some final questions going for AQ. Anything about scheduling, any of that stuff, now's the time.
I almost finished my circuit.
So, when do we actually think we're gonna be able to run this raid, you know, with all this shit that's going on.
That's a good question. There's a lot of contention, but I agree with Ferris here. I don't think it's coming out next week. I think it's coming out the week afterwards. A lot of the major guilds are not trying to get the war effort done. A lot of the main guilds are trying to get as many Scarab Lords as possible. And because of that, a lot of the sort of hardcore players are not making any push to open the gates next week. And because of that, I think we'll see AQ the week after next.
It doesn't even feel good when you have like 50 Scarab Lords on the server.
Right.
What is that?
I mean, we'll have a decent, idea of when it will be, because like once everything is turned in and there's like that 5-day wait period, kind of, that they're doing that escort or whatever happens. I would assume pretty much right after that escort's finished, we would probably be about the time the gates are open. I'm thinking.
Yeah, and I mean, like, we'll know when the gong is banged because we're going for Scarab Lord. Everyone who's here, the more you can help us go for Scarab Lord, the better. It's a little boring right now, but we're watching movies and stuff to pass the time.
Yeah, and we're doing pretty good. I would say we're over 30%, I think, or maybe even a little bit higher, like 35% to finishing, which I know doesn't sound like that much, but the first part. But this is probably the most daunting, time-consuming part by a lot. I mean, there's still a bunch of other hard parts to follow, but we're doing pretty good, bug part-wise.
All right, so
reach out to your class leads for questions about consumables.
Also, guys, I know Warriors we're gonna talk, but we're missing a few people. We'll just before raid on Wednesday, we'll just talk when everyone's here. It's literally just 5 minutes. Just want to talk about armor, a couple things like that. Make sure everyone's prepared for AQ. So.